Good morning, beautiful people. I hope you all are thriving, not just surviving. Oh my goodness. I am not awake this morning. Yet I'm here. So, anyway, hello. Good morning, beautiful people. I hope you all are thriving, not just surviving. My hair is doing some weird things. Look at this. Look at this. Hello! Cantigan or Cantiguan, hello! How are you? How was your weekend? It is Monday, right? I'm so tired I don't even know what day it is. So one of my first questions on today's live stream is gonna be, are you a fool? Are you a fool? Based on Trump's premise, are you a fool? Because then, in that case, I am absolutely a fool. So, I love all of you. Yay, good, awesome. Sorry, I didn't want to yawn on the live stream because I hear that when you yawn, apparently it makes other people also yawn. And I think science has still not even figured out why people yawn, which is wild to me. You know, in so many capacities, we have advanced in our intelligence, scientific research, but we still can't predict the weather, which is crazy to me. Yeah, Stan Durko. Gas prices are up 50 cents. Thanks, Trump. Yeah. So let me actually launch a poll here. So... based on Trump's premise, are you a fool? I'm gonna put fool in quotation marks. Okay, let me, okay. I hope that people can see the poll, because I know it's, I know that it's kind of hard to see the whole thing. Okay, here we go. Okay. I know it's hard because I didn't want to cover this part up here, and I can't drag the poll any further down, because otherwise it goes away. But based on Trump's premise, he said, a short-term surge in oil prices is worth toppling Iran. Only fools would think differently. So question, are you a fool based on Trump's premise? Make sure to vote. Make sure to vote. Are you a fool? Are you a fool, yes or no, based on Trump's premise? Good morning, everyone. I see Ginger Monster, Akicha, good morning. We have 43 people in here. Y'all are amazing. I seriously appreciate all of you. You know, I am doing what I can to try and stand up to this crazy regime. And the fact that you all are in here is, I'm very grateful. The fact that you all choose to spend your time being in here with me. You know, it makes this really, really difficult time seem a little bit more enlightening. So, let's get into the news, shall we? Oh my goodness, let's process this mess and put it to rest. All right, here we go. I'm still working on my tongue pops. Okay, anyway, so I don't remember if he put this out this morning or yesterday. Today is the 9th. I'm pretty sure this was yesterday. Trump said, a short-term surge in oil prices is worth toppling Iran. Only fools would think differently. So I decided to put up a poll, and it says, based on Trump's premise, are you a fool? Yes. Yes. I would say if you don't like the skyrocketing oil prices, then You're a fool. You're a fool. You're a dumb person. You're not smart. You're unintelligent. You see, some people say that they don't even know what that word means, intelligence. What is intelligence? I don't even know. But no, you're a fool. You're a fool if you think it's okay for us you're a fool if you think it's a bad idea for us to senselessly just bomb a country. You think you're a fool, especially if it sends prices skyrocketing. You're a fool. Yeah. So I see there are people in here and they're voting no. That's funny. Of course, 2/3, 67% say yes. I don't know if the poll shows when I post this later as a video, but nevertheless, based on the 12 votes, okay. 12 votes, okay, that's a little bit low, but Anyway, let's get into this here. So Trump argues a short-term surge in oil prices is worth toppling Iran. Only fools would think differently. Oh my God, what what a buffoon. So here we go. President Donald Trump on Sunday, so this was Sunday, said a short-term spike in oil prices is worth dealing with it if it means knocking out Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapon, and only fools would believe otherwise. Let me show you his statement. Of course, this was on Truth Social. And again, I keep reading this out, so I apologize if I seem redundant. Short-term oil prices, which will drop rapidly when the destruction of the Iran nuclear threat is over, is a very small price to pay for the USA and the world. Safety and peace. Peace. Some say that I'm a peace president. I did launch the missiles and the bombs and the strikes on Iran first. I did indeed. I striked the country first, I bombed them. But some people say that I'm a pro-peace president because when you think about it, those were just a piece of bombs. Those were just a piece of the bombs. I could have given you the whole bomb, but I only wanted to give you a piece. That's why they say I'm a peace president. I'm only giving you a piece. I can't give you the whole enchilada. Enchilada. I knew a woman by the name Enchilada. She was a nice muchacho. But let me tell you, I love peace. Peace of bomb. Only fools would think differently. Only fools, the radical woke left, think that surging oil prices is a bad thing. They say a lot of the leftists are whining and complaining about surging oil prices due to us as the United States doing a piece of bomb on Iran. And I would say they're fools. They're radical woke. They're radical woke communist Marxist socialists. All they want is no violence. All they want is no bombs. I say peace of bomb. Peace of bomb be with you. So based on Trump's premise, I'm a fool because apparently I'm the idiot for saying maybe we shouldn't bomb Iran over the idea that it has nuclear weapons, which is only half-baked intelligence according to Trump's own director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, when she testified before Congress and said, yeah, Iran isn't building a nuclear weapon. Well, what did they decide to do anyway? Bomb Iran. Oh, bomb Iran. And now you're literally putting American lives in danger over this whole situation, and economically we're struggling. We never seem to have enough money for education or infrastructure, curing homelessness, ending child poverty, but then we always have enough money to go to war, build more weapons, build more tanks, build more missiles. And I'm like, it's really around priorities. The priorities of our government really needs to change to be back to the people. Okay, why am I just getting a loading sign? I'm trying to change my graphic and it just gave me a loading sign. Anyway, Trump's post comes after the price for a barrel of Brent crude oil, I don't know what that is, to be honest, surged past $100 on Sunday. That continued a trend that started last week following the joint US-Israeli strikes that unalived Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei and dozens of other leaders from the country's theocratic regime. Their army is gone, their navy is gone, their communications are gone, their leaders are gone. You know, their leaders, they went out for a pack of smokes and they never came back. They never came back. 2 sets of leaders are gone. They're down to their 3rd set. Their air force is wiped out entirely. Other than that, they're doing very well. They're doing very well, demanding an unconditional surrender. And so I went to the internet to see what people's reactions to all of this. LOL. Let me just get to some of these. Iran's nuclear facilities have been obliterated, and suggestions otherwise are fake news. This is literally an article posted by the White House, June 25th of 2025. So here's the thing, and I've said this so many times. I've talked about this for the last whole week, ever since we started bombing Iran last Saturday, okay? I'm not a nuclear scientist. I am not a nuclear engineer. Though it seems pretty wild to me to be all the way back on track to the point of imminent threat with nuclear weapons and destruction in what? Just over half a year? Just over half a year to have built it all back from scratch? You're like, oh, all these facilities have been obliterated. To suggest otherwise is fake news. So the government is really asking us to believe that Iran basically fully recovered to full health their entire nuclear weapons arsenal. When even our own intelligence, Trump's own director of national intelligence, the previous year, back in March of 2025, said, doesn't look like they're building a nuclear weapon. And Trump's like, I don't like it, I'm just gonna say I disagree, and then just bombs the country. Trump thinks that Americans are stupid, and every single time, if you're one of these MAGA Trumpers, you believe him, he knows that you're falling for it. He knows that you'll be duped. Don't let Trump make you into words. I can't even English with how frustrated I am. Trump thinks Americans are stupid. And every single time, if you're one of these MAGA people and you believe Trump, you trust Trump, you're proving him right. That you're stupid. Don't do it. Don't do it. Anyway, let me continue onward here. I just want to point out, speaking of that, warning signs of a cult. Their leader is always right. Criticism of the leader or questioning the leader is considered persecution. Anything the leader does is justified, no matter how harmful it may be. You know, like bombing Iran, our skyrocketing oil prices, putting American soldiers' lives at risk. Even Secretary Hegseth is now considering doing boots on the ground. You know, you question them and all of a sudden you're an un-American, woke, indoctrinated liberal. The leader is the only source of truth. Everyone else is lying. Followers must be blindly devoted to their leader and never question him. The members won't recognize they belong in a cult. Yeah, those are the warning signs of a cult. Very true. I also saw this one. Short-term oil prices, which will drop rapidly when the destruction of the Iran nuclear threat is over, is a very small price to pay for the USA and world. Safety and peace. Only fools would think differently. I love this because you can see Iran War Blend and it's $8.21 at your local Chevron. I just gotta say, I really appreciate artists, whether it's AI or graphic artists, that put together these political cartoons that really make you think. Like, looking at this picture really makes me think about, yeah, this is really what the United States has become. I'm sorry, viewer discretion is advised, but this is such a perfect, good cartoon here. Because it really does show what's happening. Trump obviously likes to call himself a peace president, awards himself with prizes, like you know, he awards himself with made up prizes and people giving him weird prizes and stuff. Nobel War Prize. You have Greenland, Iran, Cuba, all these places he, wants to bomb. The Epstein files and in big bankers' boxes hidden away. Of course, fast food wrappers and stuff like that. Golden boots. Him and his Depends. Missiles. It really... Wait, is that a water gun? That's funny. These political cartoons really do make you think. And what's also so funny is, this also just blows my mind to the fact that Trump predicted himself when you really come to think of it. Like, Trump predicted himself. Our president will start a war with Iran in order to get reelected. In order to be approved of again, he's going to start a war with Iran. Every single accusation from Trump is really a confession. He really thinks that he's trying to lie his way out of his own brain, in a sense. It's just looking at all of this, of course. The gaslighting, the lies, the BS factory, Trump pimping he will be lit for some foreseeable future, dishing out MAGA chow as they always do. Trump overplayed his hand. He's not going to pull out to save face. He's going to double down and put troops on the ground. It's his only option. He thought Iran would buckle like Venezuela. He can't put a positive spin on this anymore. You also haven't seen gung-ho press conferences from Pete Hegseth. Now, Pete Hegseth did appear in 60 Minutes. We'll talk about that. But of course, other people were putting up memes like, "Panicking! Panicking!" Or, of course, the USA and their relationship with Israel and MAGA being like, oh, the Fell For It Again award. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Con man always tells you what you want to hear. Always. Con man always tells you he's fighting for you. Always. Con man also tells you it's now or never. Always. Con man always tells you he can fix it. Always. Con man always tells you to donate. Always. Yeah, note to suckers. Note to suckers. And I guarantee you that there are going to be some people with MAGA that are going to be rationalizing this. I encourage that you don't. If you're one of these people that's a part of Trump's cult, Trump's MAGA cult, and you somehow think that it's okay for oil prices to skyrocket in the way that they are because of this war over hypothetical nuclear weapons that apparently they built back to full force in just over half of a year, even though, according to Trump, they were fully obliterated. See, and that makes me ask a question. Trump expects us, the American public, to believe him when he said that all of their nuclear capabilities and facilities were obliterated back in June 25th of 2025. So if they were obliterated, is he asking for us to believe that they were built back up that quickly in just over half of a year? You're asking us to believe that. And now that's why we need to bomb them again? Do you really Trump, the military-industrial complex, and their whole brainwashing operation, they really think Americans are this dumb that we're going to fall for it again? And every single time you believe them, you put trust in these people to then put American lives at risk, you're proving them right. I obviously have an opinion on this, and I'm not going to shy away from it. But the thing is, to me, you need to have lots of evidence. You need to have a lot of proof if you're going to do something like putting American lives at risk. We've seen this before. Weapons of mass destruction, and then there didn't end up being any. People's lives were at risk. I think it's silly for us to go into a war over a hypothetical. Because what it really shows is that the government doesn't actually want to say the real reason they're striking Iran. That's my personal understanding and take. Also, it's very likely that Trump is using this whole charade to distract from the Epstein files. War crimes do not cover up sex crimes. And so he even admits it himself with basically saying that, our president will start a war with Iran, referring to Barack Obama during that time. Oh, Obama will start a war with Iran if it means he can get reelected, become popular again. This is what we see time after time. So Trump is basically admitting that he's doing the same thing. Anyway, let me move on here because I want to talk about this. So this also happened over the weekend here. Hold on just a second, let me get to it. Hegseth appeared on, okay, hold on. Let me take a sip of coffee. What are you all drinking? Make sure to put it in the chat below. Also, if you're new here, say hello and where you're tuning in from. I like to get to know people. Y'all are awesome. Seriously, if you're tuning in for the first time or you're from somewhere, then put it in the chat below. And if we don't have any new viewers, that's fine. Just say hello and what you're drinking this morning. I'm drinking coffee. I tried to buy coffee from a local company, but it's kind of hard. And I drink my coffee black because I'm trying to reduce my sugar intake. Death Wish coffee? Wait, is that an actual brand? That's fun. That's fun. Death Wish coffee. Hi, I'm Jess from Melbourne, Australia. Okay, hey Australia, what's going on? Australia, the United States over here is crazy. We're a country full of very wild people. Very wild people, and we continue to cause havoc across the globe. It is what it is. It is what it is. We continue to cause endless amounts of havoc all across the globe and then try to blame others. Yeah. Anyway, all right, so let's get into this here, shall we? So over the weekend, Pete Hegseth appeared on 60 Minutes and was questioned quite a lot about the war or not war. I don't know. It's like 6-7. They can't decide which one it is, war or not war. Trump reserves the right to put boots on the ground in Iran, according to Pete Hegseth. He said that President Trump is willing to go as far as we need to topple Iran, and that includes sending American troops if necessary. Also, if necessary for, if it means that we're going to also have temporary spikes in oil prices, as we just previously talked about. So, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said he and President Donald Trump, quote, are willing to go as far as we need to go, end quote, to knock out Iran's theocratic regime. And that includes sending American troops to Iran if necessary, he told 60 Minutes on Sunday night. Quote, we reserve the right. We reserve the right. We would be completely unwise if we did not reserve the right to take any particular option, whether it included boots on the ground or no boots on the ground. Personal point of preference, I would really, really like for us as a country to not just senselessly bomb and invade another over half-baked intelligence and then us losing lives. What? For rich oil executives to get more money? For deep state military weapons contractors to then get bigger executive pensions? For us to destabilize entire countries? For us to risk nuclear war? Yeah. Let's not. Hegseth said the press had been pushing for answers on how long Operation Epic Fury will last. He said it would be unwise to publicly share every detail of the administration's plan. Oh, did he learn from when he texted out war plans in a group chat over Signal? He was like, it'd be unwise for me to share all this information. Dude, you were not afraid to share it when it was over Signal. You were not afraid when it leaked out. So why are you all, are you trying to recover and learn from the past, buddy? Anyway. But that ultimate goal is to make sure their nuclear ambitions are wiped out. Quote, people ask, boots on the ground? No boots on the ground? 4 weeks? 2 weeks? 6 weeks? Go in. Go in. President Trump knows. I know. You don't tell the enemy. You don't tell the press. You don't tell anybody what your limits would be on an operation. He's like, I'm not going to answer your question. That's a liberal question. That's a liberal narrative, asking how long the war is going to last. Literally, this was actually something Caroline Leavitt, our press secretary, said. I don't remember which reporter it was. I think it was from either NBC or CNN. One of them were asking, how long is this war gonna last? And Caroline Leavitt was like, that is liberal woke indoctrination framing of that question, and I don't accept that premise. Like, what? Asking a time frame for how long a war or not war is gonna last. It's like, I reject that notion. Oh, sweetheart. He added, we're willing to go as far as we need in order to be successful. I'm sorry, but I'm not willing to go as far, okay? Maybe we'll leave Iran alone. Leave them alone! If there's half-baked intelligence saying that they have a nuclear weapon, I'm sorry, I want full-baked intelligence. I don't believe that we as the United States are on the correct side of history here. Anyway, Garrett later mentioned a 7th U.S. soldier, the interviewer Garrett, later mentioned a 7th U.S. soldier on Sunday had died from injuries sustained from the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. Hegseth said those Americans did not die in vain. This comes the really crazy part. He said, things like this don't happen without casualties. There will be more casualties. Especially our generation knows what it's like to see Americans come home in caskets. But that doesn't weaken us one bit. It stiffens our spine and our resolve to say, this is a fight we will finish. I'm sorry. I don't want Pete Hegseth speaking for me or other Americans who don't want this war, who don't want this crap. It's so blasphemous. They're basically trying to indoctrinate Americans into thinking that war is good. Yes, war is good. Boom, boom, bomb, bomb in Arab country, good. Yeah, let's go bomb them. Let's go bomb them. And if we die, so be it. America! God. Have we not learned? Have we not learned? Have we not learned? And what is so ironic, and of course this is happening, this is all coming from a ticket, the Republican ticket that ran on being anti-war. You know why Democrats also were like, yeah, we don't believe them one bit? Because of this crap. We knew that Trump would start a war. He's one of the most violent people ever. He insults everyone all the time. What makes you think that he's not going to resort to violence in order to get what he wants? He kidnapped the leader of Venezuela because he wanted to. He was trying to take Greenland. He was trying to take Canada. You think that he's not going to just senselessly bomb another country for oil? It's what it's what he does. Anyway, but this quote really just stuck with me because I wanted to read out some people's comments. People ask about boots on the ground. President Trump knows, you and I know, don't tell the enemy. You don't tell the press, you don't tell anybody what your limits would be on an operation. And then I also found people's comments on that really interesting. This is what Trump posted back in 2019. The United States has spent $8 trillion fighting and policing in the Middle East. Thousands of our great soldiers have died or been badly wounded. Millions of people have died on the other side. Going into the Middle East is the worst decision ever made. You know, and then just Trump likes to contradict himself. But, you know. Also, I found this to be really interesting. And I would have to double check this. I'm not surprised if this would be the case. Trump ordered the flags lowered for Charlie Kirk, but not for the 6 U.S. soldiers who died in Iran. And then, you know, as you can see, I can't independently verify this. So I want someone to double check that. Though, let's say that is the case. I'm not surprised. And also this is coming from a ticket where they were trying to claim that Democrats wanted endless war. This is what J.D. Vance said back on the campaign trail in 2024. When people like Kamala Harris send our sons and daughters, our young people, to fight in stupid wars, it is the young generation that carries the burden of that. We're going to stop sending our young people to faraway lands. We are not the policemen of the world. In the words of anchorman Ron Burgundy, wow, that escalated quickly. Yeah, the contradiction is the point. This is why young people, even if we weren't the biggest fans of Democrats or the Democratic ticket, we still voted for it in some capacities. You know, now I can't speak for all people. A lot of people really couldn't bring themselves to vote for, this is my own personal analysis, there are a lot of young people who couldn't bring themselves to vote for Kamala Harris or Tim Walz because they were like, ooh, I draw the line at genocide, which the Democrats aren't doing enough to combat. That's a choice that people had to make, and I don't blame people for that choice. I obviously have an opinion on that, but also at the same time, you know, I'm not going to blame the voters for basically drawing a red line there. I voted Democrat. I voted Democrat in 2024. I did, because I was like, the other side is worse. You know, but that also, at the same time, like, I can understand why people would come to a different conclusion. I disagree with it, but you know, because now look at where we are. Look at where we are. We have this madman in charge. But again, it's really interesting seeing the evolution here. J.D. Vance in 2024. If you're worried about the world spinning out of control, if you're worried about a military draft, if you're worried about a war, then the best way to prevent it is to vote for Donald Trump. Going to today, the world is spinning out of control. The draft is on the table. 7 Americans are dead. $2 trillion erased from markets on Sunday night. The Strait of Hormuz, which is where a lot of oil flows through, it has been closed for 8 days. 168 innocent Iranian schoolgirls have been unalived in Iran. Japan releasing emergency oil reserves. Lindsey Graham promising that Cuba is next. Yeah, are we great yet? Are we great yet? Like, are we, you know? And also, this really goes to show how much propaganda and indoctrination really goes into the job that Caroline Leavitt has as press secretary. This reporter asks, you listed a long list of grievances against the Iranian government going back to 1979. Why is it that you can't say what the imminent threat against the US was that required us to launch this? Caroline Leavitt says, I reject the premise of your question. I reject the premise of your question. You reject the premise of our question that we, as the United States, launched missiles? Like, what are you trying to say? I reject the premise of your question. Huh? Yeah, draft MAGA first. Yeah, if you voted for it, draft you first. You know? And all of this comes at a time where Trump ends up, and I'll show you here in a minute. Actually, let me read this out first. Also, MAGAs are the most programmable people in America. A month ago, Iran never crossed their minds. Today, they're military strategists. If you're MAGA and you're like, no, that's not me, prove it. Prove it. Prove it and disavow Trump. Prove it. A month ago, Iran never crossed their minds. Today, they're military strategists. 4 years ago, they didn't know what a trans person was. Now they're obsessed with trying to police trans people in their existence. Yesterday, it was Bud Light. Before, migrant caravans. Before that, drag queens. Same outrage machine, new villain every week. You know, that's very, very fair. You see, MAGA outrage goes in ebbs and flows based on what is in the news. And I encourage you, if you're one of these MAGA people that are like, don't talk about me like that, Prove it. Prove it you're not a part of an outrage machine, constantly trying to get mad at the latest woke crap. Instead, you could have an ideology based on war. Like you said you did, but guess what? You voted for Trump. This is what you get. Don't just go along or trust him with this. He's breaking his promises to you. I hope you would be mad. I hope you'd be mad. This is why many Democrats didn't believe when Trump said that he was anti-war. And in the middle of all of this, I want to point out, naturally, Trump goes golfing. As U.S. troops deploy to the Middle East, as gas prices spike, as 92,000 jobs vanish in a single month, as scores of children die in elementary school, as acid rain falls over Tehran, as Switzerland breaks 200 years of neutrality to call it a war crime, Trump goes golfing. So, yeah, Donald Trump playing golf at his own resort. I do want to point out something. Fun fact, for people who do not know, there are a couple websites that actually track how often Trump goes golfing. There's this one, which I think it hasn't been updated, but this one, the Donald Trump Golf Tracker, is the best way to then track. Now, they do have a red notice up there saying, until further notice, golf days will not be updated unless a confirmed sighting of Trump on the golf course occurs. The Trump administration is actively narrative crafting information to hide Trump's declining health due to his published schedule to discourage media questions. And I do want to point out that at the time when all of this was happening, he did go golfing. He did go golfing, naturally. And when breaking down this existing presidency, Donald Trump has golfed 98 days out of 414 days since returning to office. That is about a fourth. It's close to 25% of the presidency spent golfing. Now, that doesn't include the whole day. I also am not going to say that people don't deserve downtime. I'm not crazy. But also think of it. I've also talked about this on my own videos. And I pointed to my computer when I said that, LOL. On my own videos, Donald Trump profits every single time that he, him, and his staff actually go and spend money at his resorts. The U.S. government, the federal government, is paying to stay at these Trump resorts. That's money that goes right back into Trump's pocket. So when the Secret Service stays at Trump resorts, that money goes from the U.S. federal government right into Trump's business. And this is just somehow overlooked. It's our money, exactly. Our money for golf. No, seriously. It's fascinating how that's not even talked about. The fact that it's quite normal for our president, who owns several different real estate properties, is a real estate mogul, goon, and he just goes and plays golf as president, yet then the federal government pays for the staffing for all the Secret Service to protect him, and he hasn't divested from his business interests. Yeah, our money, the federal government's money. Yeah. And I do want to point out, from my knowledge, the Trump Golf Tracker, this is what it shows. The only day that he has golfed has been in March, has been the 8th. So that was yesterday. Also, in February, he didn't golf as much. Interesting. January, he did. He likes to go golfing on the weekends. December, he obviously did a lot. But that all being said, I wanted to let you all know of that resource, that there is such a thing as the Trump Golf Tracker. And this is our best source for seeing if Trump went golfing, from my knowledge. If there's other ones, please put them in the chat and inform everyone. Breaking. Stunning analysis reveals that Trump spent quarter of his 2025 days at golf clubs, costing taxpayers a whopping $110 million. Yeah, that's... Wait, hold on. I'm doing my math right. That's $110 million. And it gets crazier. Anyway, let me move on back to Pete Hegseth here, all right? Regarding what he said in his 60-minute interview, Pete Hegseth had this interview with 60 Minutes on Sunday, so I guess that's yesterday. He said, quote, "There will be more casualties. Our generation knows what it's like to see Americans come home in caskets. But that doesn't weaken us one bit. It stiffens our spines and our resolve to say, this is a fight we will finish." I'm sorry. Don't speak for me. Don't speak for me. This is a fight we will finish. That ain't gonna be me. No, ma'am. I'm not gonna be out there. I don't want to be out there. I don't want to be fighting. I don't want to be fighting for the United States in this instance where we're just senselessly bombing Iran over nuclear weapons that we apparently destroyed just over half a year ago. I'm sorry. No. I don't think that we should just accept casualties. There will be more casualties. Our generation knows what it's like to see Americans come home in caskets. Yes, we do. And that's why we're anti-war. America just needs to leave people alone. Leave them alone. Unless Iran really poses a threat to us, unless another country really poses a threat to us, then we shouldn't antagonize them. The United States, I'm saying this as a born and bred American from Raleigh, North Carolina. We, in so many capacities, are antagonizing the Middle East. We are the ones poking and prodding, trying to stir the pot. No. I'm saying this as someone that is from this country. Our country needs to massively realign their foreign entanglements. We need to stop being so overly involved and wanting to just bomb countries. Leave Iran alone. Unless they really pose an imminent threat to the United States, there's no reason for us to strike them first. And also our intelligence is saying that they didn't even have nuclear weapons. So I'm sorry if my reaction is also based on weapons of mass destruction. We already saw what it was like for the United States to get involved in the Middle East. I don't want us to repeat it again. It's like someone making the same mistake and then you're like, well, I guess I'll just have to learn from it. Well, you're not learning from it this time. You're expecting us to go along with the same playbook so that military weapons contractors can get big executive pensions, so that war profiteers can make more money while people die? Okay, you want to send people into the Middle East? Fine. Send MAGA first. Pete Hegseth, I don't know if he has kids. You want war in the Middle East? Send your own kids. If you want war, okay, you better be willing to sacrifice for it. Trump wants war? Send Barron. Send Barron. And let me get to other people's reactions because this was spot on here. Obviously, you see Israeli citizens just enjoying being on the beach. That's really, really nice. American citizens, their loved ones in caskets. They'll sacrifice your sons to war. They'll sacrifice your sons to war and your daughters to Epstein, then censor you for noticing. Remember that. We will fight Iran to the very last American. That's revealing. Obviously, this guy didn't live through the Vietnam War. So eager to start wars that end up dragging on for years and both splitting and bankrupting America. Yeah, our generation swore to never lose lives for such a cause again. This is psychopath talk. WTF, what are we doing here? That filthy F Trump leaves his hat on and salutes. 2 insults to the dead at the same time. Yeah. 100%. Neocon Award, learn nothing from the lies of the Bush era and weapons of mass destruction. And also, these were comments by conservative-leaning people on a conservative post. A good chunk of MAGA don't want war. But I will say, if you're one of these MAGA people that then decide to trust Trump, he's duping you again. He's fooled you again. He's fooled you again. It's the same thing. Trump steers your opinions. Think for yourself. Think critically on your own. Stiffens our spine. F you. Let's see if Barron's spine is out there on the front line. And why did that filthy BASTARD remove his hat? Why didn't he remove his hat? How will we know when it's finished? Yeah, listen, we effed up. Yeah, we effed up. Does he get a trophy or something for depending on how many come home in boxes? Maybe negotiating for peace would be less. 100%. And all this being said, we now have the 7th person officially been unalived in this conflict. And that's 7 American lives that have just been senselessly lost, let alone all the people who are Iranian citizens, who have also died. It's so sad that this is where we are. It's so sad this is where we are. So this gets into our next segment here. And this just also happened. So, and right before I do that, let me give you some more comments before I do that. Caroline Levitt doesn't rule out a draft. I cannot believe that I am on the same page as Marjorie Taylor Greene. Though, I give credit where it's due, and criticism where it's warranted. Caroline Levitt doesn't rule out a draft. How about the answer is no draft and no boots on the ground, because we campaigned on no more foreign wars or regime change. Liars, every single one of them. I cannot believe that I am on the same side as Marjorie Taylor Greene. But you know, this is me. Not me going side to side with Marjorie Taylor Greene protecting our sons from dying for Israel. Look, I am not going to, I'm not going to forget the past. We know her. Though also, I'm the kind of person that if you're on the same side as me in principle, then okay. I'm not going to forget the past. We'll talk about that later. But great, we're on the same page. Let's do it. Let's stop it, you know? Doesn't make me forget all about the national divorce that Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted. It's like, what? We need a national divorce, girl. But I give credit for her for standing up the way that she has. Now, that doesn't make me want to vote for her. No, if there's someone else better out there. But it's important to stand on principle, morality, and ideology instead of just opportunism. And I'm just pointing out that if you're on the same side as someone that has historically been against you, don't be afraid to then admit it. You don't have to then concede that they're somehow, morally right in every single capacity. But, I just call it as it is, MTG hasn't had a change of heart overnight. No, it wasn't overnight. It's been very steady. But again, Trump's family, Netanyahu's family, and then your family. And a lot of people are waking up to this. That's why Send Barron was so popular. That's why Send Barron has been so popular. Trump wants war? Great. He better be able to then send his own, sacrifice his own. You want a war in the Middle East? You better be willing to pay for it. But I guarantee you, we're going to see something else similar like this for Barron. Draft dodgers will dodge. So you are drafted to go to war, but people like Barron, rich people. Oh, nope. So that actually gets to our next segment here. And this is just blasphemous. This is just crazy to me. I cannot believe that this is where we are. I can believe, but oh my God. Get us out of this timeline. I don't want to be a part of this timeline. So that was done by Iran. Trump lies as more evidence shows U.S. was behind school massacre. If you all were not familiar, when we issued strikes, meaning we bombed Iran, we ended up bombing an elementary school and unaliving 160 plus children. So the whole idea of, we need to bomb Iran to take out their nuclear weapons. I'm sorry, but do you think that there's an elementary school? Do you think an elementary school qualifies as one of those facilities? No. And with how precise and how much money we put into military, do you really think, it's just blasphemous to me that they wouldn't be precise with their target. But Nevertheless here, that was done by Iran. So wait, hold on. You're claiming that Iran bombed their own citizens? That Iran unalived their own flesh and blood citizens to then blame the United States? He's really asking for us to believe that. So when MAGA says, I just trust Trump, I trust Trump. Really? Trump thinks that Americans are idiots. And if you follow along with what he says, you're proving him right. That was done by Iran. Trump lies as more evidence shows U.S. was behind school massacre. Quote, I guess acknowledge that you attacked a school and unalived a bunch of children right off the bat might spoil POTUS's splendid little war. Yeah. So U.S. President Donald Trump basically claimed over the weekend that Iran was behind the strike on an Iranian elementary school that killed more than 160 people, mostly young girls, during the first wave of U.S.-Israeli bombings, even as evidence mounted that an American missile attack caused the devastation. A reporter aboard Air Force One asked Trump straightforwardly, instead of gay-forwardly, whether the United States bombed a girls' elementary school in southern Iran on the first day of the war. To which the president responded, no, in my opinion, based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran. Here's the thing. That was not an opinionated question, you fool. That was not an opinionated question. It is a factual question. Did or did not? Did the United States bomb an elementary school with innocent children? You can't say, well, in my opinion, that's not an opinion. Your opinion is your preference based on pineapples on pizza. You cannot say, the United States bombing Iran, that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. That's not an opinion. That's an objective happening. That is an objective fact. That is a measurable data point. You can't somehow make the existence of reality, the events of reality, somehow your opinion. Now, if you were to say it's my understanding, that might be a little bit different. He said, no, in my opinion, based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran. It's not an opinion. If I were to say, it's just my opinion, it's my opinion that Canada isn't next to the United States. That's my opinion. You're like, it's not an opinion. It objectively is. So the reporter then asked Pentagon Secretary Pete Hegseth, standing right behind the president, whether the claim was true, and he declined to endorse it. We're certainly investigating. So wait a minute, hold on. The U.S. military, the Department of Defense, Department of War, is investigating themselves bombing an Iranian school, elementary school. That's like asking a criminal to do an audit on themselves for what they stole. Are you really think that's gonna yield results? It's like no fool would ask a shoplifter to then do an audit or somehow check, did you steal anything? Can you verify if you stole anything? And then the person just taking the shoplifter's word for it. No, I didn't steal anything. Okay, I trust you. Verified, check, move on. Like, what? What? Of course. Michael Waltz, U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, similarly declined to back Trump's claim, telling ABC's Martha Raddatz on Sunday that he would leave that investigation to investigators to determine. Okay, I can tell you as a veteran, in no uncertain terms, the United States does everything it can to avoid civilian casualties. Sometimes, of course, tragic mistakes occur. I'm sorry, I don't believe that. I don't believe you. I don't think that the United States does everything it can to avoid civilian casualties. If you wanted to avoid civilian casualties, you wouldn't just senselessly bomb another country and then they're gonna bomb us back. You don't start crap. You just don't. The administration officials' comments on the massacre, which Human Rights Watch said should be investigated as a possible war crime, came as video footage, satellite images, and other evidence further indicated it was likely U.S. forces who carried out the February 28th attack on the Iranian school in Minab. Reuters last week pointed out, contrary to Trump's claim, the U.S. military investigators believe American forces were behind the school bombing. Of course they were. Of course they were. And this exchange is just wild. Reporter, did the U.S. bomb an elementary school and unalive 175 people? Trump, based on what I've seen, it was done by Iran. Reporter, is that true, Mr. Hegseth? We're investigating. Trump, they are very inaccurate with their munitions. It was done by Iran. Totally the face of someone who believes the words coming out of his mouth. Such a liar. And of course, endless memes and comments on the internet about this exchange. The only side that targets civilians is Iran. What? What? Yeah. And of course, Felon 47 would make this claim. Iran has been pretty precise on its targets, but somehow bombed a school full of their own children. Hegseth said, we're investigating because the creature realizes that at a later date, he'll be on hook to address this again. The felon doesn't care because he feels invincible. We obviously unalived those people and those children. Israel and the United States are still bombing more schools as we speak. Cowards in charge of our military. And then I like this one. It's a meme of Trump listening to Trump saying, even I can tell you're lying. You know, Donald Trump saying that it was Iran that bombed the elementary school with Pete Hegseth nodding along is all the evidence needed that it was the U.S. military that did it. The military either did investigate or investigated and found that they did it. The only thing left to do was to try to scapegoat Iran for the U.S. military mass murdering 166 schoolgirls aged 7 to 12 and injuring scores more. Evidence points to a U.S. missile hitting the school. Investigation might reveal whether it was a targeting mistake and that U.S. military doesn't care to avoid civilians, that the U.S. military deliberately hit the school, that somehow Israel instead inserted the target information. Regardless, no investigation by the U.S. military can be trusted before this. But more so after all this lie, but more so after this lie. I cannot read. It's like the Fox investigating who killed the chickens. That's very true. The U.S. military unalived the schoolgirls. The question remains, why? And so even CNN was like, yeah, the U.S. military was responsible for the strike on the elementary school. And you know, it's interesting. I guess acknowledging that you attacked a school and unalived a bunch of children right off the bat might spoil POTUS's splendid little war. And that's another thing. Trump probably doesn't feel like he can admit it because then he'll be like, ooh, yeah, that's a really bad look. Even Trump knows that's a bad look. So he's obviously trying to lie and cover up for his incompetence. Which, yep. And it's so funny because a lot of MAGA are going to say, this isn't what I voted for. This isn't what I voted for. But it was what you voted for. You just might not have realized it. But guess what? It was the woke, radical, Marxist, socialist Democrats trying to tell you not to trust Trump. Don't trust him. It doesn't mean that you have to become some sort of blue-hearted liberal. And we're not asking for that. We were just asking, hey, Trump is not to be trusted. Trump is not to be trusted. You're like, this is not what I voted for. Yes, but it is what you got. It is what you got. Anyway. You think he gives a crap? No, I don't think he gives a crap. That's the point. New footage shows the U.S. Tomahawk missile unaliving and hitting an IRGC facility in Minab, Iran. That's the school. The footage also shows the smoke rising from the vicinity of the girls' school, where 175 people were reportedly unalived, including children. So it was our missile that did it. It was our missile that did it. Sorry, I don't mean to yawn on live. I've had a little bit of a I had a long weekend. Get those likes up. Yes, please, that would be great. If I seem a little bit low energy today, I apologize. You know, even for days that I don't feel like going live, I still do, because consistency is key if you're a content creator. And I consider this to be a duty that I have. You know, I really want to commit to doing this live stream to inform you all. So even if I don't fully feel up to all of this every single day, I'm like, no, people need to be informed. You know, I'm going to do my part to try and inform people. Someone said, gay much? Yes, I am gay. Good job. Good job. What do you want me to say to that? Someone said, gay much? Obsessed much? Creepy much? Weird much? That's my response to you. The school was found by a journalist using Google. The walls were covered in childhood art. God, that's just so... this guy is gay for the atoll, yeah? No. I'm not approving of what Iran does. we're all gay here, big boy. Let's see. What is it? Up the toffees. You're funny. You're hilarious. You're funny and you're hilarious, and everyone thinks though. Everyone laugh. Everyone give attention to the one guy in the chat who obviously wants it. Everyone acknowledge it. Let's go. Anyway, I appreciate all of you. Where was it that I wanted to go back to? Where was it? Oh my god. Anyway, that's pretty much the end of today's live stream. I hope that was all very informative. That's what I wanted. I hope that was all pretty informative. Y'all are incredible. How many people we got in here? 79? Do we have any ending thoughts, comments before we end the live stream? Maybe they were having a class on LGBTQIA plus studies. Probably not, unfortunately. Iran is not very gay friendly. There are people that are obviously fighting for LGBTQ liberation, but you know. Oh, great show. Thank you. I appreciate all of you. JE Main Event, you're awesome. Also, there is a Discord. I don't know if Elisa is in here. Someone said Trump 2024. What? God, y'all, those are bots. Those are bots. Yes, join the Discord. Yes, DM Elisa to join the Discord. We're going to be starting to become a little bit more active over there. So definitely join that. Be on the lookout for more content. I'm going to go to, so in truth be told, Mondays are actually my day off. So I'm going to go probably lay down. I'm probably going to go lay down because I feel like I might have a cold coming on, knock on wood. So let's hope that that is not happening. I appreciate every single one of you. Y'all are amazing. Please go check out my latest content. I am trying to publish more videos and more shorts. I'm trying to do all of that so that I can inform all of you about the latest happenings. If you all are like, wait a minute, who? So Secretary Kristi Noem is out as DHS Secretary, and now you have a new person in there, Markwayne Mullin. Go and watch my video and learn about who that guy is. Go and listen to that video. I just posted, it's about 7 minutes long, I think. And it's just about who our new Secretary of the Homeland Security is. I appreciate every single one of you. Shout out to my amazing moderators who make this place safe for people. Cantiguen, you're awesome. Elisa, C-Bar, you're amazing. I love you so much. You're awesome. Akicha, Stan Durko, JE Main Event. Y'all are awesome. Let's see, who else was in here? There's pictures of Tomahawk missiles. Yeah, 100% there are. I love all of you so much. Y'all are awesome. Did I miss anyone? Oh, thank you for the little gift. Thank you, Ryan. Ryan H2691 sent high five. Yeah. Sorry, that looked kind of cringy, like trying to me do a high five. High five, let's go. I hope everyone has a great Monday. I'm going to enjoy my day off. My day off, which is Monday. Anyway, just remember that you are beautiful, you are loved, you are valid, you are strong, and you are fierce. Don't let anyone or anything or any algorithm ever dim your shine. Jay Harrison, love you. You're awesome. Aw, thanks for all the love. I love you all so much. Bye.